Thank you, Michael. Very informative, and I think your words at the end there are correct. How do we get a solution that everyone is happy with? And that's what I hope we can move towards tonight. Now, I'll open it up. I'll open up the floor to questions and also comments if you so choose. Okay, Patrick.
Now,
Yeah.
it's not a question. I'd just like to reply to the objection.
Certainly, yeah. Would you like to come up? First of all, would you like the microphone? And please introduce yourself as well.
Patrick McGrath. I bought this property in 1976. So I've been living up here for over 30 years. Now the reason why that place is like it is, there's so much interest in it, is because I've looked after it. Now, 20, 30 years on, I've got wattle trees which are falling to the ground. Now I've got a choice. Leave them on the ground, let a bushfire take care of them, or make some use of them. Now that's the basic start where I'm going from. Now for me to do that, I cannot do it legally unless I operate under the Forest Practices Code. Okay? So I need to have a private timber reserve. Okay. So let's go through these objections. I think Now, by the way, the objections came to me and I sent back my response to the council on the 12th of January, 12 days before the meeting where they discussed this. When I saw the photo in the paper on the Sunday, in the Sunday Tasmanian, with Helen at the gate, I realised that the information had not been passed on. If it had been passed on, then this woman has been misleading you. I'm sorry, Helen, I was really upset about that. Okay, first thing, the land contains botanical communities of high biodiversity and conservation value, including eucalyptus globules. Oops. Okay. In 2008, I asked the Forest Conservation Fund if they were interested in, if I put a covenant on the property to preserve the forest up there. They came, they inspected, they said there's nothing of any conservation value as far as they were concerned. The Thismia Rodway Fairylands. It's my intention to conduct a low impact harvesting operation, and I welcome the Hobart City Council to indicate to me the exact location of this plant on my property so I can take appropriate measures to ensure its protection. I don't think it's on the property because the dot, which was indicated on the GIS map, is a place on the property where you cannot walk to. It's thick. Okay, the second one. Right, the land contains threatened species. Okay. It's not my intention to clear fell this property. I repeat, it is not my intention to clear fell this property. I could have done that in 1976 when I bought this place. I could have just raised it to the ground. I didn't because I like it. In fact, I'm somewhat a conservationist at heart, as can be seen by the fact that the tree growth has flourished over the years since I bought the property in 1976. However, there's been no major bushfire through this property since 1967. I believe the fuel loads on the ground are such that in the event of a bushfire, the habitat of the swift parrot, the Mongana stag beetle, the 40-spotted pardalote and the numerous other threatened species that have been recorded within 500 metres of my property will be destroyed. It's that simple. And as I penned this letter, this was on a total fireban day, no one more than I is more aware of the threat to my family and property that potential bushfires ever increasingly pose at 181 Pottery Road, Lenah Valley. And that will affect you, the people who live adjacent to me. Okay, so I've got a problem there. I'm looking for a solution, and this PTR helps me achieve the solution. I need to be able to finance this ongoing fuel reduction and the bushfire management program. the harvest of fallen and dead trees on the property can help contribute to the cost. Okay, it's not wood chipping for pulp mills and all this sort of thing. It's just a low scale operation. I cut some trees up which have fallen over or are dead, and I can sell it and I get some money for the fuel for the tractor and all the other things I've got to do to maintain the property. Right, the third point was the reduction of water quality in Brushy Creek. Now, we've been using that water for domestic purposes since 1978. Okay? We drink it. And it's certainly not in my interest to spray it and put all the herbicides in there to pollute the water. In fact, the times the water gets polluted is heavy downfalls when I get runoff from gully erosion from all the fire trails around the place. And I certainly wouldn't be clear felling there to pollute my creek. Now, the local area plan prepared by TASQ about the visual amenity. I'll just read out I attended a Hobart City Council meeting in 1988 when the council rejected outright the proposals of this local area plan as prepared by TASQ. Now, obviously we're dealing with subjective values here in regard to how leaving fallen trees or dying trees, along with invasive weeds such as Spanish heath, gorse, blackberry, broom, hawthorn, permeating through the understory, contribute to an area of significant landscape value. One could also question why significant landscapes abruptly start and end conveniently when there's a utility going through the place. It makes no sense to me. Now, as for the 300,000 visitors to the top of Mount Wellington, you go there. Let's put it in context here. From the summit of Mount Wellington, an observer is presented with a vista of human activity, including 2 ciggy tips, the one at Glenorchy, the one at Macroby's Gully. That one's only 1 kilometre from me. Sewage treatment plants, quarry sites, wharves, a fuel storage dump, a zinc works. It just goes on and on and on. Now you put 60 hectares, which is not going to be clear felled, me going up there with a chainsaw and a little Lucas mill, harvesting what's fallen to the ground. How's that going to affect those tourists with their visual amenity from the top of Mount Wellington? Now, fifth point there was the boundaries. Okay, my property borders on the Mount Wellington National Park. Okay, there's a great big fire break which marks the boundary. Mountain Park, Brushy Hill, Pottery Road, 181 Pottery Road. You have to have boundaries somewhere. They have to start somewhere and have to finish somewhere. Otherwise they just keep on going and going. What's the next one going to be? Brushy Creek Road. You can't do anything there because it borders on Patrick McGrath's place, which borders on the Mount Wellington. It's got to start and stop somewhere. The significant community opposition, okay, we've got some now. For what purpose? I don't know. There's a political agenda here. I don't know. Access. Now, for 30 odd years I've been traversing the road from Pottery Road to my place, backwards and forwards. I've had excavators up there, I've had trucks taking quarry, the gravel from the quarry to do my road. I've had lots of traffic over that 33-year period. Okay, it's a nonsense. There's not going to be a procession of log trucks up and down the road. I wouldn't let it happen. And you worry about the person coming along in the future. The Forest Practices Code would prohibit it. But this is the problem. You have not read the Forest Practices Code. You cannot clear fell on slopes of greater than so many degrees. You can't clear fell if it's going to pollute creeks and waterways. You can't clear fell if it's going to upset the habitat of threatened species. You don't knock over the blue gums. You can't do it. So you've got to be careful about this. Everybody maligns and puts down the Forestry Commission about this, but they're covering everything. And the thing about this, the forest thing, you say, oh, we lose the planning, but forestry is an ongoing thing. It doesn't go for 5 years or 10 years, it's an ongoing operation.